It would be fair to say that West Ham's transition from Upton Park to the London Stadium hasn't been a smooth one. Upton Park, or the Boleyn Ground, had been the Hammers' home since 1904, and many supporters were never keen on making a move away from E13. Co-owner David Sullivan himself conceded that half of our fans don't want to move, but insisted supporters would soon change their mind when settled into the athletics arena that was first constructed for the 2012 Olympics, before a £323 million transition to make the ground hospitable for football. West Ham's final game at Upton Park was a game more than worthy of the occasion. Goals by Diafra Sakho, Mikel Antonio and Winston Reid cancelled out an Antonio Martial brace, as West Ham brought the curtain down on 112 years of football at Upton Park with a 3-2 win over Manchester United. That was a little over 3 years ago now, and the West Ham defence from that match are pretty much all still with the club, but the rest of the squad have largely departed. Since I do these videos from back to front, you may start to think that everyone is still at West Ham in the early stages of the video, but I assure you they are not. Here is West Ham's final 11 at Upton Park. Where are they now? Darren Randolph, Middlesbrough. A popular figure at West Ham when he stepped in for regular number 1 Adrian, whether that was due to poor form or an injury to the Spaniard, Darren Randolph played 42 games for West Ham in 2 seasons with the club. Those 2 seasons were West Ham's last at Upton Park and their first at the London Stadium, before the arrival of Joe Hart on a season-long loan saw Randolph surplus 2 requirements. The Republic of Ireland international subsequently joined Middlesbrough for around £5 million, where he has impressed. Randolph was the only Borough player to make the 2018-19 Championship team this season, and he recently returned to the island's starting 11. Mikel Antonio, West Ham. Slaven Bilic had begun experimenting with Mikel Antonio at right back during the 2015-16 season, something that would largely end when he gave away a penalty against Chelsea in the opening game of the following season. An athletic, direct and purposeful wide man, Antonio is happiest when deputised in an advanced role on the right flank, where he can look to get at opponents and make things happen. Antonio was actually West Ham's Hammer of the Year for the 2016-17 season, and has been called into the England squad by both Sam Allardyce and Gareth Southgate, but never managed to win a full senior cap. Winston Reid, West Ham. The scorer of the final goal at the Boleyn Ground, Winston Reid, has been an outstanding servant to West Ham United. The New Zealand captain is also a former Hammer of the Year, with his award coming in the 2012-13 season, and he has been with the club for close to a decade now. Strong and dependable at his best, Reid hasn't played competitive football for over 18 months now. A recurring knee injury has seen to that, with Reid optimistic that he should return to full training within the next couple of months. He's 31 now, and it will take an almighty effort to make a full comeback from such a lengthy spell on the sidelines. Angelo Ogbonna, West Ham. When West Ham signed Angelo Ogbonna in 2015, a 2-time Serie A winner at Juventus and an Italian international entering what ought to have been his prime years, Hammers fans had every right to be excited. Ogbonna's debut campaign was West Ham's last at Upton Park, and he registered 34 appearances in all competitions. I think it would be fair to describe his displays as a little underwhelming and at times outright unconvincing. The 31-year-old is still at West Ham, having signed a contract that will keep him at the club until 2022, back in 2017. Aaron Cresswell, West Ham. As I mentioned in the introduction, West Ham's entire backline for their final game at Upton Park are still with the Hammers now, although their back four still looks rather different now, it should be said. Aaron Cresswell joined West Ham from Ipswich Town in 2014, and he was an excellent signing for just £3.75 million. He had a fantastic first few seasons, picking up the Players' Player of the Year and Hammer of the Year awards in his debut campaign, and winning caps for England in 2016 and in 2017. A knee ligament injury saw him miss about half of last season, but the 29-year-old is back in action now, and he scored a brilliant free kick in West Ham's recent defeat of Manchester United. Cheikhou Kouyaté, Crystal Palace. Another player who joined West Ham in 2014 and had an excellent first couple of seasons, as the Hammers finished 7th in 2015-16, a lot of West Ham fans were surprised to see Kouyaté leave the club in 2018. He arrived at West Ham from Anderlecht and spent 4 seasons as a dynamic, industrious and purposeful box-to-box or defensive midfielder. A £9.5 million bid was enough to convince West Ham to sell Kouyaté to Crystal Palace, and the Senegal captain has had an impressive first season in South London. Mark Noble, West Ham. Mr. West Ham himself, Mark Noble is of course still with the Hammers now, where he has spent his entire career. a club legend with 470 appearances and 2 Player of the Year awards to his name, Noble first joined the West Ham Academy at the age of 13. A regular for England under-21s between 2007 and 2009, Noble has never been called up by the England senior team. He has been a sensational servant to West Ham though, never giving anything other than 100% for the cause. Noble scored his 25th Premier League penalty earlier this season. Only Alan Shearer, Frank Lampard and Steven Gerrard have scored more. Dimitri Payet, Marseille. The man who lit up West Ham's final season at Upton Park, Dimitri Payet, was sensational in his only full season with the Hammers. An absolute snip at just £10.7 million, Payet put in some dazzling displays in claret and blue, hitting some of the best free kicks the division has ever seen. He scored 12 goals in all competitions and was even named as the Premier League Player of the Season at the 2016 London Football Awards. His fine form was met with a new 5-year deal worth a reported £125,000 a week, but Payet soon went from hero to zero. Despite the odd moments of magic, something clearly wasn't right with Payet at the start of the following season. In January 2017, a broken Slavan Bilic announced to the press that Payet wanted to leave the club. After 2 rejected bids, West Ham accepted a £25 million offer from Marseille, which saw Payet return to his former club. Now aged 32, Payet scored 21 goals in 95 games since returning to the Stade Velodrome. Manuel Lanzini, West Ham. West Ham had 2 really technically gifted wide midfield operators in Dimitri Payet and Manuel Lanzini, and indeed Lanzini is still at the club. You could be forgiven for having forgotten that was the case though, since the Argentine has had nightmarish injury struggles over the last 12 to 15 months. A natural footballer who is brilliant on the ball and capable of making things happen, Lanzini returned to action this season, only to be sidelined for another month recently. Capped 5 times by Argentina, Lanzini is a gem of a footballer at his best, and provided he can return to full fitness, he should be like a new signing for Manuel Pellegrini soon. Diafra Sakho, Rennes. It can be difficult for non-top 6 sides to attract prolific strikers in the Premier League, but Diafra Sakho had a decent goal-scoring record at West Ham and was perhaps a little underrated during his early time with the club. He bagged 10 goals in 23 games in his first half season with the club, albeit he only managed 5 in 23 the following term. He fell out of favour following West Ham's move to the London Stadium though, and in January 2018 he joined Ligue 1 side Rennes for a reported £10 million, where he's since bagged 3 goals in 16 games and has been sent out on loan to Bursaspor in Turkey. Andy Carroll, Newcastle United. Slavan Bilic's football may have been seen as a breath of fresh air following Sam Allardyce's more pragmatic approach at West Ham, but the Croatian boss still had 2 big powerful centre-forwards in this side. Partnering Diafra Sakho was injury-prone England international Andy Carroll, who scored 34 goals in 142 games for West Ham. The striker spent over half his time with the club on the injury table, preventing him from ever building up genuine momentum and towards the end stripping him of his tremendous aerial prowess that made him so effective. He returned to his boy club Newcastle United on a free transfer in the summer, but it was recently reported that he won't start a game this year due to an ankle problem. Well, that's it for the West Ham starting 11 for their final game at the Boleyn Ground, but we will take a quick look at the 3 substitutes who came on in that game. Tardy central midfield player Pedro Obiang was the first, coming on in place of Manuel Lanzini, and he now plays for Sassuolo in Serie A. Next up was centre-back James Tompkins, who came on in place of Diafra Sakho as the Hammers looked to tighten things up, and the West Ham Academy graduate now plays for Premier League rivals Crystal Palace. The last of the 3, coming on in injury time, was Ecuador international Enner Valencia, who is currently starring for Tigres in Liga MX. Of the unused substitutes, 36-year-old James Collins is now a free agent, Nigerian international Victor Moses is on loan at Fenerbahce and has since won a Premier League title, pacey frontman Emmanuel Emenike only recently signed for Westerlo in Belgium, and Swiss goalkeeper Raphael Spiegel now plays for FC Winterthur in the second tier of Swiss football. That's it for today's video. Congratulations on making it to the end of the video. Since you've got this far and in exchange for eternal good luck and happiness, why not subscribe and turn on notifications for the ever brilliant HITC Sevens. Also, for mobile users, if you click on your screen now there should be some suggestions of other videos YouTube thinks you might like, and I agree with YouTube. If you're watching on desktop, they should appear of their own accord. Thank you all for watching, give us a like if you enjoyed the video, and I hope you have a brilliant day.